Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. I'm out in the torch shop, gonna try and make another marble today. I'm gonna use some frit. I haven't used any frit in the last couple of weeks, but I'm gonna try a different way to apply some frit. That's kind of my focus today. But first, a couple little things to get us started. I usually get things laid out, back color and so on, but I need a little bit more of this deep blue. This will be the final background color, perhaps behind a little bit of gold fume. But there's, different ways of pulling out stringers. I've done this so many times, but this is the way I do stuff. I just keep rolling the heat on the shoulder. A little bit of tension, trying to kind of monitor the size of that stringer as it pulls out, slow down, speed up, pull harder, pull less. Until I get out. In this case, this stuff I'm going to use a fair bit of it, so I'm going to just kind of go out as far as I can reach comfortably. Get that loose. Then when I take this loose, the other end is sticking out over here and leaves little burn marks on the edge of my table. So I'm using the same color, I can just jump back in and reattach to that same spot. If I was switching colors, I usually clean off the holding rod. And we'll just have lots of this pulled out. So ready to roll. So I use frit often in my marbles, a lot of times in the background. I'm going to try a little different way of applying frit. In little patches. So that's the backstop. Now I had this cane from the other day, and I've got a lot of leftover pieces and parts, so I thought I'd make use of this particular one. So this was gold and silver in layers, kind of concentric layers in a cane that I used recently, and I want to use this as a plunge, so I need a little stinger. This would be a good kind of small diameter, fairly straight. Wait for this to set up. Cut this off, and I'll clean up this little piece so I can. Oops, well, that's not a very good job of cleaning up, but that'll work. So it's ready to roll next time. So to do this plunge, I actually want to cut end, and I'm going to use the diamond shears. Let's see if that didn't come off with the cleanest cut, but that's okay. So then we're just going to kind of plain polish this end in preparation for a plunge. Alright, so move on to the main rod here. I'll switch up here, and as usual, this is a cut end, so it's going to throw some shrapnel. I always try and tell people, when you have bits and bobs on the bench you want to clean up, there's a tendency to go grab stuff with your fingers, but I would always advise using tweezers to pick up, even if it seems something kind of innocent. Because even this morning, I don't know, I was messing around trying to clean up a little bit, using my fingers, and something poked me. Fortunately, I didn't get, I thought it was going to bleed, but didn't quite get me that bad, but I don't even know what it was. It was just sharp stuff all over the bench. So that's to be avoided. Goodness. Got my mug here. A little juice in it. Except I can never see where I'm putting it down. So, before I do the plunge, I need to build up our initial gather on the end of this rod. So we're recovering from our little snowstorm event. I've spent the last 2 days out clearing snow with the tractor, with our four-wheeler, the snowblower, shoveling. It's been an exhausting couple of days. It was just kind of a little bit unusual snow event because it started snowing and just kept snowing for 2 days straight. And so total accumulation is kind of hard to say, but the solid packed accumulation was like 16 inches here. And it was pretty cold. It was 10 degrees yesterday morning when I started out taking care of things, and warmed up to a balmy 24 or something today, but it's supposed to get a little warmer. But we had the icy event before the snow event, so you plow off the snow, you get down to the ice, and then our tractor skitters around, and it's always a little scary to me. I hate to get that tractor stuck, because then it's going to need something bigger than we have to pull it out. So I wasn't able to clean things up around here quite as much as I like to, partly because I'm still kind of on the mend, and I've been pushing myself way too hard doing all this snow removal, but hanging in there. So we'll see how today goes here. Get a pretty good gather going. Now we're going to need to kind of superheat this end. Now this type of a plunge doesn't really have to go in there very far. And it went off center, and that's totally fine. Plunges like that were always going to introduce a few little bubbles. I'm trying to heat the mass of the glass and get the main air line to scoot on out back where it came from. But at this point, we're going to aim for our initial cone shape. Do this with a hand paddle and just kind of wanted something in the center, because most of the focus of this marble is going to be playing around with some frit in the background. So I'm trying to be kind of aggressive here and give it a little twisting action. I think the center plunge pieces always look best if they're kind of swirling around. Okay. And I'll just kind of let that hang out for a second. Hang on. And it kind of messes up this end, so I'll clean that off. Okay, that's the starting point. So, big idea today. I'm going to do some different frit. And we're going to apply it in a different manner. Fact is, I've never done this. Which is always kind of a fun part of my fun and games here. I don't know if this is going to sit up here too well. So what I want to do is pick up frit with a clear rod. Instead of dunking the whole thing into frit, even if it was laid out in a pattern like I tried the other week, I thought, and people use the same technique to do with the cremains type of glasswork. So I thought, well, what if we just pick up a spot of frit, and just kind of lay it down. So I'm starting out with Andromeda. So like I said, I'm kind of, this is an experiment. I don't quite know how best to apply this or how this is going to work. So we're going to go through this with several different colors. Now this could build up to be an awfully large marble if I don't kind of keep this under control. So I think I'm going to also peel off some of the clear here. Melt that in a little bit. Okay, I dumped out that frit. So it's kind of going to do light dark. So Andromeda is fairly light sort of a frit. I'm going to just kind of encourage these guys to sit down. Okay. So next up we're going to do some Lapis. I wish I could get more of this color. I have a little bit left here, but I love this Lapis, but I'm not sure if they're making it anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of curious how this blotchy look is going to turn out. Like I say, this is just kind of an idea that came up, and I thought, well, I don't know, let's try it, see what happens. Of course, in my mind's eye, and layering these different effects, I kind of had an idea what it would look like, and I can already see it's probably not exactly what I was thinking it would do, but it'll also do things I didn't expect. You can only visualize and mentally run through these things just so far, and then you just have to break it out, see what happens. I went a little off to the side here. So an episode like this, it's a little hard to say, well, I'm going to do this to create that, and this is how you do it. And I don't really know how you do this. Just kind of wing it. See what we come up with. Obviously pulling this clear off is also creating some effects, which could be useful effects if you figure this process out and create some patterns on by design. I'm just kind of doing this as a organic combination. And I kind of encourage these guys to lay down. So one thing I didn't quite foresee is the curling effect, where it curls up around the edges. Okay, that's color number 2. Who's up next? We'll do some blue-green. I like this color, it kind of makes a wispy effect. And this is kind of a peaceful process. It's kind of repetitive, but it's also kind of thinking about what you're creating here. sure if that's melted together. Can't tell what I'm looking at, if it's dimensional or pattern. Yeah, there's a whole lot of subtle things going on with placing these spots. Trying to lift out of there without distorting things too much, but some of these distortions, I got some little swirls out of it. Okay, what do we got going on here? Peel away some excess clear here. Part of my idea was kind of like a field of flowers, different flowers, kind of a very Picasso kind of presentation of a collage of different things, but a subset. So it's just four different colors involved here, plus the background. And I wasn't sure how much to melt in each of these layers, but probably should really kind of melt them in. Funny, heating something like this, the heat can be so asymmetric. It seems like one side's all smoothed out and the other side is hot. So I've been doing these videos in kind of a real-time, long format, and I did get a request to make shorter videos, but I think what I'm going to try and do is do a re-edit of some of the ones I've already done and condense it down to a faster paced synopsis. I've kind of been reluctant to do that because I think there's some value in seeing how much time it actually takes to do things. And I realize most people, stats show most people watch these things for 15-20 minutes total. So they're skimming through, buzzing through, whatever they're doing. I do the same thing when I'm on YouTube. That's just kind of the way of it. So this one is a darker glass, this Turbo Amethyst. So this color is pretty dark. Please start giving kind of a backdrop to some of the other layers that are lighter and more colorful. So I think I mentioned the cremains, if you're doing memorial glass with the ashes, which I have not done, and I do not wish to do. Just one thing I've seen is people kind of dabbing into ashes and then applying that to whatever piece they're working on. Okay, that's all the colors I was going to do on the frit. Aside. So this is kind of my escape from snow removal. So my body is kind of wiped out from all that hard work, and I really need to get away from it, but there's so much, oh my gosh, so much more that should ought to be done. Before we get the next, it's supposed to snow some more tomorrow, get down below 0 by Monday, in a couple days. So see how much we can get things situated in this little lull in the storm systems. This morning it was windy, and I thought, oh great, here comes the wind drifted snow, which we've experienced some pretty severe wind drifting covering across our road. So we're kind of setting up into a pattern. This is going to take a lot to thaw out. But as our local farm and ranch community will let you know, moisture is good, rain is good, snow is good. Doesn't matter how it comes down, we need water. Most places have been crying about drought, and this will solve a lot of the drought issues or concerns for this upcoming year. Now, question here is how much to try and get this to have the cone shape for a vortex effect. And I think kind of like the last one I did, I'll do a bit of a modified what I sometimes do is kind of a two-tiered cone effect. So we do one kind of sharp cone at the end and a different angle towards the shoulder. That way you can still get the depth visual effect, but not make this marble too crazy big. Okay, let that set up. And just because, we will try and pull out this end. Okay. Now, I thought I might do a little gold on here. I don't really care about doing too much, but before I do the backing color, let's see if we can do this. So hopefully we just get some on there. And then we're going to go into our deep blue. Right up here at a break line, and back of the first run anyway, at overlap. A solid layer there, and then I'm going to step it over, leave a gap. Hopefully I can get this down to the end. It's getting hot here at the end. Okay. Now this one, kind of using a hard angle, pushing it in with a little pressure. Okay, come down here, this end is a little inconsistent. and hot. Let's switch over to a little bit bigger stringer here. Okay, that should probably do it. Again, we'll be mindful of 2 different angles. Push this together. Okay. Now that's basically completes the interior decorating. So the casing over this backside, well, let's see. First we're going to throw down some silver. Why not? So we don't really need much filler on this. We're just going to round this out. So we're just going to run over to do a layer. So we at least have a layer. Come back and see how much we really need to make dimensional additions. Clear pass offers a separation in a lot of instances between colors, between different effects. If you don't put down the clear and just try to put the lines down on top of what I just did and rake it, or I don't know, I wouldn't want to do it. That would be a whole nother kettle of fish. Yeah, it always seems that there's so much to do around here, and we've got some good neighbors. We had one of our neighbors that was kind of having a tough time with the snow, and I don't have the right gear to get into her driveway, so the other fellow here, he's got his little machine out clearing snow in his driveway and stuff. I said, could you go over there and help her out? And of course he did, and then he spent quite a bit of time. He went around to quite a few other people's spur roads and driveways, and put in quite a bit of work. So we'll have to see if we can give him a little compensation for that effort. Okay, that's the first layer down. Heat this up. Cut in those edges on the ends. Okay, well, we really don't have a whole lot I need to put on here, but build this up a little bit. Okay, we're going to run with that. I think I'll put pedal back where I can grab it. Okay, well, at least we're warm now. Came out to the shop this morning, it's 45 degrees inside here, and I've got a heater that I leave on low to keep it so it doesn't drop below, hopefully, 45. I don't think I checked on it yesterday to see what it was at. I was too busy plowing snow. But a couple of years ago, we picked up a basic snow blower, and I'm sure glad we did. I haven't really, some years I haven't used it at all. Haven't really had it that many years, but I've only used it a couple prior years, just a little bit. But this time I really used it a fair amount, both days, last couple of days, and it's a nice. It's a nice addition to having to deal with hand shoveling stuff, which I've done a ton of that in the past. So we're kind of letting this melt together, and the geometry of the interior is adjusting, I'm sure, some according to this heat and what's happening geometrically. Once that's all kind of rounded out, and keep this on center and let this settle down for the next step. So in the background, back side, not the background. Oh, I want that one. I'm going to do Silver Strike 5. To start with. So these kind of mystery marbles like this, you know, I haven't really gotten any peek to see what's happening inside there. So I really won't know whether any of this made any sense until tomorrow after I take it out of the kiln. Which, you know, I've done this for so long, I don't really think about it that much, but it's always interesting because what comes out of the kiln is rarely exactly what I thought was going in the kiln. Okay, and then Dragon's Blood. I'm going to do a red. And this will pick up on the fuming underneath there. And anytime you fume with the color, in this case the deep blue, it kind of changes the tone of the fuming effects. And then the all favorite Unobtanium. Now this color will have some small bubbles that seem to expose when you draw it out into a stringer, and then when you lay it down like this, but most of the little, really small bubbles seem to resolve themselves in the rest of the process, but sometimes it's got some big enough ones to do something with. So I just use a little tungsten pick and kind of poke at some of that stuff. Like I said, most of those things, they'll just resolve on their own. But first, we need to cook these in. So this is part of the resolving process. Cook it in. Sometimes the different gases in glass will boil off, go back into solution, essentially, become part of the glass, or it's through cycling, heating, and letting it cool down a bit. That surface tension will squeeze the glass, maybe break bubbles. A lot of classwork to me, because I haven't really had the opportunity to take a bunch of classes or didn't like apprentice with someone or have any mentor with any of this. So to me, it's a lot of just observe the glass, pay attention to what the glass is doing, let the glass teach you what it's up to. Because you can try and force the glass to do what you want, but that may or may not work out the best. Okay, let's see if we can rake this up. Didn't wait quite long enough. It's still pretty hot. It's drooped off center. It helps listening to some really good chill vibes when you're trying to do this kind of thing. Sort of hypnotic. It's nice to have some music that's kind of hypnotic to go with this effect. Okay. Alright, we get Funky on and carry out. Oops. Don't need those anyway. Just out of the danger zone. Yeah, our UPS guy showed up yesterday, chains on his big old truck, came all the way into our driveway area. And we got quite a mess out here because it was real icy before this snow event, and I couldn't get our tractor to really push all the snow off to the edges, so pretty chewy out there. Bless his heart, he made it work and cleared enough room for him to get in here and turn around. But for whatever reason, different circumstances, it's been an unusually challenging snow event. But it is pretty, and people were out, I guess yesterday, quite a bit. We had folks out cross-country skiing and enjoying playing around in the snow. Our neighborhood, we don't really have any small children, so we don't have any of that kind of energy around here, but we have a lot of very peaceful out here. But our local school was closed the last 2 days. My daughter's substitute teaching and took her in this morning. School was on time. But the last couple of days it's been so bad it was closed, and other schools in the area are still closed today, which for Montana is unusual. Sometimes they'll do an hour late or 2 hours late start of the day, but not very often is the conditions so bad they actually close school. So that gives you some indication that not just my imagination, I'm not just getting old and tired of shoveling snow. It's actually Kind of bad conditions. And we have a lot of industrious folks around here that have a side gig plowing snow. I kind of feel bad for them in a year that we don't get much snow, because we don't always get a lot of snow here. Many years there's really not enough snow to mess with even plowing, which may seem surprising to people, but yeah, I wasn't sure how my shoulders and arms were going to hold up today to all this twirling. Doing okay. It's kind of a different set of muscles doing glass blowing than wrestling with the tractor. You know, it's an old beast of a machine, and the steering and the gear shifting back and forth, a lot of back and forth shifting, and a lot up and down with the back blade. A lot of, you know, it's got the two separate brake pedals for the left and the right wheel, main drive wheel, so when you want to turn, you hit the inside wheel to stop it, and get the outside wheel to turn and scoot you around. But inevitably you get mixed up and hit the wrong pedal and turn the wrong way, and it's a little chaotic. And our little ATV is pretty old, and still starts and runs great, but it doesn't do reverse, and it's not because the reverse gear doesn't work. It's just all the mechanics of shifting to reverse are all kind of trashed. So I have to go around and around places that I know I can spin around and keep going forward. But I had to carry a snow shovel with me, because if I couldn't spin it around easily, then I'm stuck. I can't like go back up and try it going back and forth. So that gets old in a hurry. Didn't do a very clean ending here. Try and tag that last little tail sticking up. So me kind of waving around with the heat to keep them boiling. heat this back and see if there's any glaring spots I missed. A little chaotic there, peeling this off. Okay, we're getting there. Okay. L-marver on top of the torch is really handy for just doing a little bit of touch-up to keep things cylindrical. It's just kind of nice to settle that in against those marver plates and a little control on there. Now I tend to kind of rush into putting this punchy on, which is alright. But in some sense it's good to wait long enough for one side to set up before working on the other side. But in this case, it's still going to work out. I used to do a lot of transfers back and forth, and usually if you're doing a lot of transfers back and forth, your whole marble is too hot. If everything's too hot, you are never going to get it round. And I do hear people say, oh, the hardest part is getting it round. It's like, well, if you're systematic about it and give it time for one side to set up, you can really only work on sort of maybe 2/3 of the marble at a time, but you need that other punchy connection to stay solid. Now I've kind of done enough of these that I kind of push things along, and but still the general idea is one half is hot and one half is not. And I like to use this fast spinning. Pull that glass out. But all those layers of color and stuff, they don't move as easily as just clear glass, so it takes some horsing around. So the first step is I come in here kind of horizontal and go ahead and leave a little blip out on the end. I leave that little bump out on the end, because it's a Vortex style marble and I want that depth. I'm trying to preserve the optics at that end. In this step, it's best to give it time and let it melt together on its own. I tend to rush this next step in the marble mold, and I maybe wind up with kind of a little flat spot in the bottom of the well. So if you got the patience at this step, you really should just let it cook for quite a while and get it to just round up on its own. But because this is the internet age, nobody wants to sit around waiting for this to happen. You kind of push this along. So the other thing is, after it's really hot like that, you can pause from briefly, let that surface kind of skin up. Then I'm going to bring it all the way past that bump. And then when I come up all the way, I can really push into the marble mold and then kind of pull down on it. And when I do that, I call this the apple shape. Where the punty is connected, I've pushed into it. So the shape of it has kind of got this. The clear side is not very round. The back side is getting pretty good, but the clear side's not looking so pretty. So the next phase, we're trying to work on that transition circumference, but it's still got a little shallow spot there. And we can also kind of use the camera zone. Use kind of the drop down. So this is kind of pulling the apple shape out and allowing the whole marble to kind of relax. Again, this is me kind of pushing things along. These next couple marver steps will pretty well set up the whole shape. You should be able to get the entire thing, because I can get it down all the way to the punty on the lens. So just in that one trip to the mold, we've got most of the shape done. But the other thing is, sometimes I just go to a smaller mold, so I still have that indent around the circumference. You can see the light bobbling around there. That rim there is not ready yet. I like to do the bulk of the shaping on this punty step. That's just me. I just prefer trying to give it as much of a completed shape, so when I switch punties the last time, I'm really just getting that front lens cleaned up. But because we're not quite half and half, we got less front lens than we do the back side of the marble. I'll work on that front lens a little bit more. So essentially what I'm saying is that half the marble is nicely rounded out, but the other half involves still a little bit of the backside. But now, at this point, I did a little flame polishing on that back, and that's pretty much done. But I really need the core to settle down. And this is what I'm talking about. It's like, if you push through some of these steps and the whole marble is too hot, then you keep fighting the shape. So right now, the 95% of it is just fine. You just leave it alone. But the only way you can leave it alone is to get it to cool down enough to where it's not moving. Okay, trying to shape up this last punty into a little smaller bullet. Heat the marble till it's glowing. Heat the rod till it's glowing. Touch them down, kind of push-pull. Like that. I'd say it's a cold seal, but it's not. It's not a delicate cold seal. This marble is heavy enough right now. I really don't want it to fall off. Well, I hope anyone watching all this is intrigued. I think this is going to turn out pretty cool. Pluck out one little bright spot there. Back to a larger marble mold that's just about the right size. She's not paying attention. Don't panic. Just breathe. Get my punty a little off alignment. So at this point I'm looking at that front lens and I'm kind of looking at the edge of the rim because this doesn't fit all the way into that marble mold. So you want to make sure that there isn't any parts that are obviously not in contact with that rim, because that would indicate you're still quite a ways off. So at this point when you, well, pretty much any time you drop the marble into the mold, you want to do it very gently and get it spinning as fast as you can. Yeah, see, that led me to a big blip out the end of it. So, a little secret about marbles, they're not perfectly round. But on a 2-inch marble, I try and get it within about 1/1000th. Hundredth. I'm sorry, not thousandth. It'll have a variance of at least 1 to 2/100ths of an inch. Okay, there's a bunch of horsing around there. Now, if you just keep going into the marble mold, you just keep causing problems. So at some point you just be like, okay, we're good. Reflections are looking good. I like the shape. It's looking good and round. Keep rotating, keep rotating. So then you can do some heat cycling. It's the other ways to get things rounder. Heat it up, cool it down, heat it up, cool it down. In this case, I'll just do one more. So you do these kind of intense heats, just long enough to get that surface skin to be able to move a little bit, and then leave it alone. And we should be good. Alright everybody, we got our goofy little trail coming out of the depths. That plunge looks nice. We've got a bunch of big soft pillows of different frit. Hard to tell what the colors are going to look like or what the layers look like, but at this point, you get what you get. So again, a moment of patience. I'll go banging around with tooling and stuff when it's still hot. And I don't know, I just like to do this wet tweezers thing. Knock it free. And there'll be a little blib there. I'll just heat that up and melt it in. Again, you can kind of do this in steps so you're not doing anything too radical shape, changing the shape there. This can take a good shot of heat. If you're expecting it to pound out all on its lonesome. We should be good. Alright everybody, thanks for joining in. I didn't wear myself out too much on this one, that's good. Interesting, that's a good thing. Pretty cool. Color. Okay, Into the kiln we go. We're good for this week. At least you all better be good. Take care of yourselves, everyone. It's really important. You can't take care of anyone else unless you take care of yourself first. So first, pay attention to what you need and help as you can those around you and your family and your neighborhood and your workplace and whatever all. And if you all just be kind to one another, it'll be a better world. So we will see you on another adventure next time.